Okay, so today, the PlayStation 5 Pro was officially announced. Let's talk about it. Sony released a 9-minute video featuring Mark Cerny, the head tech nerd and PS5 lead system architect, breaking down the details of this new upgraded console. There's a bit more beyond this 9-minute video that they dropped and some potential sticking points with the price that we'll get to, but first, let's actually talk about the news. So Mark Cerny smartly detailed that with the base PS5, players of course have had the option to typically choose performance mode or fidelity mode. He explained the differences for the less tech inclined, and explained that when players are given the choice between higher fidelity or better performance and frame rate, players choose that performance mode about 3/4 of the time. This is the main driving factor behind them creating PS5 Pro, ideally allowing for less compromises. And they highlighted games that now look like they have that little extra detail and resolution of fidelity mode, but with the frame rates of quality mode, highlighting The Last of Us Part 2, Spider-Man 2, and Ratchet and Clank. As someone who does tend to choose performance mode or frame rate mode, this is a good business pitch. Like, I get it, they're speaking my language here, but there's more to it. What is the actual hardware difference with the PS5 Pro versus the PS5? What has changed? Well, Cerny broke it down into essentially 3 core things for the approach: AI-driven upscaling, better, more advanced ray tracing, and a larger GPU. So the GPU is much larger with 67% more compute units and 28% faster RAM, the memory used by the GPU. Now, they say these changes give the PS5 Pro up to 45% faster rendering. Ray tracing speeds have been increased by quote-unquote double or up to triple, according to Cerny, but we really need to see more of that. That essentially will amount to good, accurate, realistic lighting. They also apparently added custom hardware to the PS5 Pro to allow for AI-driven or machine learning upscaling. Think something like AMD's FSR or NVIDIA's DLSS if you're a PC person. There are differences, but PlayStation's upscaling tech here is called PSSR. PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution. That is such a marketing word. But in layman's terms, this intelligently adds pixels to lower resolution games to effectively make it look like much higher resolution. According to Mark Cerny, game developers are already adding PS5 Pro support to new and existing games. All of these 3 core things here, the ray tracing upgrade, the bigger GPU, and the PSSR, which is funny to say out loud. All 3 of these core things are contributing to games now having, and I quote his words, fidelity mode-like levels of detail, but with double the frame rate. Now, from Sony's blog post, here's some first and third-party games you can expect to see these enhancements with: Alan Wake 2, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Demon's Souls, Dragon's Dogma 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Gran Turismo 7, Hogwarts Legacy, Horizon Forbidden West, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, The Crew Motorfest, The First Descendant, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, and more. So will this make a difference for the visual enthusiasts, the folks that demand the best from their console and count pixels and analyze frame rates? Will it make a difference? Probably. Will it make much of a difference to the average consumer? We don't know. This video demonstration shows very subtle differences in fidelity and clarity that are exciting to us nerds, but maybe not for the average normie. Design-wise, though, it's a shift from the standard PS5. It's going with that newer, updated look of the PS5. The more recently released versions dubbed by fans PS5 Slim, even if it wasn't a massive slim down. Here, the design philosophies of that update continue, with cleaner lines, a bit of a sheen to it, and a new 3-line gap in the middle of the shell. Notably, and this wasn't mentioned in the video, it's going to support Wi-Fi 7 and is going to come standard with a hefty 2 terabyte hard drive. It does not have a disk drive. The disk drive is an add-on. This new PS5 Pro comes standard as an all-digital device. You need to buy an optional, sold separately, disk drive. This disk drive for this device is the one currently available to purchase as an add-on for those newer PS5s. Now, along with this, the vertical stand that they showed the console with is apparently sold separately as well. I say all this because of the official price. A whopping $700 in the United States. Even crazier, 700 pounds, 800 euros. You get the gist. It's expensive across the board. Expensive also in the world where modern consoles aren't cheap and haven't gotten cheaper over time, as in the last 2 decades or so, as they historically have. Like a regular PS5 is still typically $500 in the United States if you were to just walk into a retail store right now and buy one. So you're looking at $700 minimum, plus the cost of the disk drive if you have some physical games, and that's a big ask for a lot of people. Of course, there's plenty of opinion to be shared about all this. We could probably make a whole separate video, and we probably will. But for some people, this might be the time to jump to PC. You're gonna see a lot of that conversation. To others who maybe don't have PC components as readily available for reasonable prices, this is just a tough pill to swallow if you really want those higher frame rates or resolutions, especially considering the offering right now is pretty simple and not that exciting. I think had PlayStation showed off a bit more games or showcased the differences a little bit better, it would have helped. Maybe even just one, exciting new game announcement, or even a big DLC expansion for a game that takes advantage of this. I don't know, something. Looking back at the past, this does feel different than when the PS4 Pro launched. It felt like there was way more excitement and need around that one. PS4 and Xbox One were out for a long time, and they were already underpowered compared to PC since they were announced to a lot of people. People often point to AC Unity at launch as proof that developers were expecting more from the consoles. So the PS4 Pro and Xbox One X were the response to the actual market needs of power, both from the consumers and the development side. When the PS5 launched, the tech inside it was pretty good. And even now, 4 years after its release, PS5 is still solid. It's comparable to a decent, solid mid-range PC to some folks, and at that price tag, it's good. And speaking of the price, yes, it's still high, and yes, like I said earlier, it hasn't gone down, but when you're looking at that or a little PC, yeah. And speaking of the price, at the time, the PS4 already had price cuts, which helped to make an expensive, but not crazy expensive, PS4 Pro. I think it lessened the sticker shock there, unlike today. So all of the conditions are different now. The economy, of course, the fact that the PS5 hasn't seen a price drop in 4 years, and the fact that the console doesn't feel as long in the tooth yet. I mean, many people feel like they only just got their hands on a PS5. And judging from online responses, it does seem like a significant portion of people seem happy to just hang on to their regular PS5 for now. Business speak-wise, this is intended for the power user who isn't very sensitive to price. Someone who just goes all in on stuff. They're out there. So in many ways, it's like this one isn't for growing the amount of people who are on the PlayStation platform or anything like that, but getting some additional profit out of the hardcore players. I know we're kind of all over the place with this one opinions wise, but this was just announced, so we're just throwing a bunch of our ideas and opinions out here for you to think about. We, of course, will be getting our hands on one and letting you know if it really feels like it makes a difference, or if it's really a necessary purchase if you're hardcore. I feel like these differences don't really show very well in YouTube videos because of video compression. YouTube videos are just not very detailed. I personally believe seeing these things running on a real TV in real time in front of you are always much better. I still really need to physically see to believe a lot of these tech enhancements. So keep an eye out for our Before You Buy video when it releases. And yes, as for that, the PS5 Pro is dropping. It'll be available November 7th, 2024, just in time for the holiday season. Let's hope it doesn't become another disastrous scalper thing again. According to Sony, pre-orders will begin on September 26, 2024. So if you want one of these things, get ready. So really, ultimately, we'll have to wait and see. A lot of people online are already expressing some disinterest, but we need to see if talk online actually translates to real-world dollars and cents here. Personally, I get the need for it from a business sense and a tech sense, like we discussed, but the reality is, it just wasn't like the most exciting announcement. Like, yes, ooh, the tree leaves in the background look a little sharper. I do care about that. You might actually care about that level of detail, but to upgrade and go all in with a new $700 console, we'll see. So let us know in the comments what you guys think. Obviously, opinions are all over the place. Is this something that you've been waiting for? Are you playing games on PS5 that just don't have good frame rates? Are you willing to spend $700 to get more of that? Are you considering, depending on where you live, getting more into the PC ecosystem now after looking at this price tag? Are you excited about those enhancements that PS5 Pro showed off with things like The Last of Us Part 2? A little bit more frame rate, a little bit more detail? Are you pissed about the no disk drive thing and the stand you have to pay for? Let's talk about anything PS5 Pro down in the comments. Oh, and I also want to hear from people who have been holding off on buying a PS5, whether it was from the really messy launch or just now knowing that this thing was coming. After this announcement, if you haven't bought a PS5, are you still going to go all in and get the PS5 Pro, or are you going to jump in with a regular version? Let's talk about any of this stuff down in the comments. Like I said, clicking the like button also helps us out. We would appreciate that. Hopefully you got some info here, but we put out videos every single day. So thanks for watching. We got you covered. We'll see you next time.